Hey, listen, I love to photograph alone, just by myself. I guess I'm a bit of a lonely wolf or a sheep, I don't know. I don't like distractions. I don't like to take anybody else into account while I'm concentrating. And then I don't like photo walks or workshops or any of that sort. There's one exception though. A good friend of mine, Kari Paukola, we just get along pretty well, and we often go and photograph together. And it might happen that we just wander to a different part of the location, and we might not see us in an hour, for an hour. And it just gives both of us that freedom to do our own thing. We don't need to explain anything, and we don't need to justify what we do. We can do whatever we want to do, but we still do it together, and that's a perfect match. Kari is also the same age I am, and we share a lot of same things. We used to play in the same band back in the days and all that. We've been trying to now organize a trip with Kari for the longest time, and it's been really difficult to just get our schedules matched. But finally, last weekend we found a few days. We went down to the town of Hanko, which is a southernmost tip of Finland. It's kind of a peninsula stretching out to the Baltic Sea. We've been there a few times before, but there's always something new to be found. And of course the weather is always different. Now the spring is really late now this year. This has been one of the longest winters ever. The snow, we got snow in October, and we still got snow on the ground in the late April. So it's been really a proper winter. A lot of seascapes, forests, some towns, some cityscapes, mostly seascapes. We stayed in an extremely cheap hotel. It's an old town prison converted into a hotel, and we ate cheap pizza, and we took a lot of pictures. This time I simplified my gear. Like, I've been complaining about me taking too much stuff with me, all kind of cameras and whatnot. This time it was only Rolleiflex. I took most of the pictures with my Rolleiflex, one roll of pictures with my Holga panorama, and then I had 3 different films on me. Actually, I had more films, but I only used these 3. I also had color film on me, which I always do, but I never shoot color. Formapan 100, rough, old-fashioned grain, and then very nice Ilford FP4 Plus. These are about 100 ASA, 125 and 100 ASA. Then a little bit faster, 400 ASA film, HB5. Ilford's probably the most versatile film, or maybe the most versatile film of the whole universe. You can push and pull it. And this time I shot them all at the box speed. And let's go to Hanko. This is what happened. Hey, those yellow boots, they've been my best photography purchase in years. They were dirt cheap, they are really comfy, and they are not slippery at all. On those cliffs, like, it was really important that I stayed upright, and those boots are excellent to keep me both warm, dry, and upright. I don't get any style points, I admit that, but you know, I'm not here for style, I'm here for entertainment. And for entertainment, let's go a bit deeper into the technical stuff that might be interesting to some of you. Now, there was one challenge that I immediately noticed. I actually knew that in advance. There was a little bit wind. And I don't like when the wind breaks the surface of the lake or the sea, but it doesn't really get stormy. I mean, storm is okay, and then really calm sea, those are okay. But that in between, it's just ugly. And for that reason, I wanted to extend my exposure time and calm down the surface of the sea. And for that, I used ND filters. I used mostly ND 1000 filter. I think that's the only filter I use this time. And I get to the exposure times of 4 to 8 seconds, even longer, in the middle of the day. Now, using filters with the Rolleiflex, that's one of the best cameras to use really dark ND filters, because you put the filter on the lower lens and you focus through the upper lens. So it doesn't matter what you got on top of your lower lens. It doesn't, you know, make your focusing or composing any more difficult, because they are different lenses. So that's why this is an awesome camera for long exposures with ND filters. But there's a challenge. The bayonet, the adaptation, how these filters get attached to the cameras, this is really a proprietary and makes these filters extremely expensive. So I found a loophole in the monetary system, and I went to the Chinese online store and I found an adaptation ring. It has a Rolleiflex bayonet at one side and just a regular 43mm threading at the other side. By the way, if you want to think about this, it's a different size for 3.5 Rolleiflex. Mine is 2.8. So make sure that if you want to follow my lead, then you buy the right kind of a adaptation ring. Anywho, you can just put it here. It's a bayonet, and now I can use any filters I want. 43mm lens filters, and they just screw in here. So, and now these filters are dirt cheap. I bought these also from the Chinese store and paid maybe like €4 per filter. That's why they don't work properly, but no, they work properly. They are just fine. Makes it much cheap. Here's my ND 1000. Now then, how do you calculate the exposure times for ND1000 filter or any of these filters? Let me show you. That's a bit of math that I'm really proud about myself. I use my phone to calculate, and this is how it goes. First you measure the exposure as if you didn't have the filter. And let's say that your light meter gives you 1/125th of a second. 1/125. So then you take your calculator and you do that math. 1 divided by 125. And you get 0.008. That actually is 0.008 seconds. And then, that being an ND1000 filter, you just multiply this with 1000. This is really simple math. And you get 8 seconds. So now with ND1000 filter, it's 8 seconds. But unfortunately, this is not really all. Because then, in that longer exposure time, reciprocity failure starts to kick in. The reciprocity failure means that with the longer exposure times, you need to start adding some buffer. Film is not capable of storing the light the same way with the slower speeds. It is capable in a faster speeds. Now luckily, most of the film manufacturers gives us some guidance, and Ilford gives us this kind of a table to understand the reciprocity failure for their films. There's this kind of a P factor. And for me, this is what I do. If you look at the P factors, they are close to 1.3. And I don't want to remember all the different films from Ilford. So let's say 1.3 is enough. That's the only number you need to remember with Ilford films. 1.3. And then I have this 8 seconds now. But I need to add some time to compensate the reciprocity. So how do I do that? I turn my phone to sideways and I get the scientific calculator. And now there's this little XY button here that I press. And then I put this Ilford 1.3 in there. And I get the right amount of time with the reciprocity failure taken into account, which is about 15 seconds. So that's how I use my iPhone for photography. I don't take pictures with my iPhone, but I use the calculator, and that's how I get the right amount of exposure with ND filters. So what does an ND filter do to me? Let's see. Here are two pictures side by side. The first one is taken with an ND filter with the exposure time of 15 seconds. And then the next one from the very same location with 1/125th second of exposure time without a filter. So you can see the difference. Okay, then on our way back we briefly visited the small town of Tammisaari. My brother is a pretty famous architect, and he has designed, quite a few landmark buildings here in Finland. The Library of Turku, the Library of Seinäjoki, the Amos Rex Museum in downtown Helsinki. Now in this small town of Tammisaari, my brother just recently designed a museum called Chape, or Chap. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's an awesome looking black box in the middle of the really old town, and it really stands out. I think it might divide some opinions, but I kind of like it. Of course, I'm biased. So I took a few pictures of my brother's latest creation, and they look like this. Now the museum was closed, so we couldn't get in, but next time. Hey, that was an awesome trip. Thank you once again, Kari. I put Kari's Instagram link to the description page so you can take a look at his pictures. I'm pretty sure that you will see his pictures from the same trip pretty soon if they are not already there. It always fascinates me how different Kari's pictures are, and I really like he doesn't shout with his photos. And we've been discussing a lot about, our styles and what we try to accomplish with our artistic view, like not in terms of monetary compensation, but what do we really want to gain in photography? And that's also one of those parts of the trip that I really enjoy with Kari. So make sure you take a look at his pictures. Thanks for joining us on this trip. Next time, something else.